Good afternoon, good morning, no matter what time you're watching this. This is an interview that will stand the test of time, and I'll explain why in a second. Welcome to I'm Dr. Lett, the podcast. I am Dr. Lett. Now, as I stated throughout a few of my interviews, the Kent State University, Ohio's only Ivy League institution, at least in my mind, produces the best graduates. Its next guest is no exception to that. Without further ado, Aliyah, please introduce yourself.
All right. Hi, I'm Aliyah Whittaker. I am a recent graduate of the Kent State University. I graduated with my Bachelor's of Science in Education, and I am now going to be entering the teaching field as a first-year teacher. I'm very excited.
Yes, and thank you so much for that introduction. As you just stated, recent the Kent State University graduate. Tell us, for the viewers, what was your journey like at Kent State University?
I had a great experience at Kent State. I'm actually sad to be leaving after my 4 years. I do think it's because I immersed myself in a lot of different roles, in a lot of different groups. Just in my sophomore year, I started taking on a lot of different leadership opportunities that presented themselves. And I will say I was always more of like a shy, more timid kind of person growing up. So my experience at Kent, I think, has helped me become more, I guess you could say, outgoing. I like meeting people. I like building relationships. And I think Kent has been the perfect place to do that. I think with all of the opportunities that were presented to me, if I wouldn't have taken them, I would have had a very different experience. So, yeah.
Yeah, and with that, you almost alluded to some of the programming and some of the things that really allowed you to grow and flourish. But can you talk about what programs at Kent State University shaped your sense of belonging, and how were those programs impactful?
So when I think of the programs or organizations that impacted my time most at Kent State, I think of KT. It's called Cupida Transiciones. I was a member of it my freshman year. And then my subsequent years, I was a mentor. And then I was even a mentor of mentors. So I sort of worked my way up the ladder there. But that specific group or organization focused on multicultural students coming into a predominantly white institution. And it was just a breath of fresh air. It was a relief to get to see people like me in this completely new space. It's a great way to connect. And not that in class you would see people that looked like you, but you would have those connections. So when you were walking around campus, you knew exactly who these people were. They were just great, strong relationships that were built right at the beginning of the year. And it was sort of like a crutch, things that you could lean on. Another program that I think of is Writing for Your Future. I did that for a few years. I really liked that program because I think it helped me with my career ultimately. All of them did, but especially this one. I feel like if you're a teacher, this program is absolutely perfect for you. It allows you to work with, for me, a different age group than my degree is in. So I specialize in elementary education, but with this program specifically, I got to work with high school students. So a little out of my comfort zone, but I think it sharpened my skills of being able to collaborate with my peers. And, you know, I think there are a lot of similarities between high school students and elementary school aged kids, because at the end of the day, it's all about building those relationships and getting to know people on a more personal level. So even though it was with a different age group, I think it did help me in my skills in my career. And then lastly, KSEA, so that's the Kent Student Education Association. Again, I was a member my freshman year and immediately transitioned into a board role my sophomore year. I was underclassmen at large, and then I was coordinator of diversity. And luckily, I ended up being the president my last year. And that was probably the most rewarding role because I got to meet so many other educators, not just in Kent, but I got to go to conferences and I got to meet people statewide. I was even nominated for a leadership role nationally for the Education Association. So just the opportunities that this organization has presented me as an educator has been amazing. And I'm so grateful that I was introduced as a member and then I was able to work my way up because I've made unforgettable connections.
Wow, that is incredible. And for anyone watching this, I constantly talk about fostering and building relationships. That is something that every one of my guests, either directly or indirectly, has really encouraged for anyone out there. Build relationships with amazing people and you will have amazing results. Now, Aliyah, as a future teacher, what excites you most about going into the field of education?
I would say exactly that is building relationships. And I think not only building relationships, but also getting to cultivate the ones that I've already made through Kent stellar education program. You go through classes as a cohort and I've made some amazing friends. So getting to see them flourish as educators, getting that support from them, knowing exactly what the field is like, getting to be able to talk to them, bounce ideas off of each other, having my connection from KSEA with the state and national level. It's just really exciting. So I'm really excited to meet more people that are interested in the same thing that I am, but also, again, cultivating those relationships that I have already built and just pushing them even further. I'm really excited about that.
I love that. And that is a great lead into this next question. The early childhood program at Kent State University it's nationally ranked.
Amazing.
But you did touch on this, but can you go in detail a little bit more about some of the non-traditional ways you gained teaching experience while in college?
So at Kent State, we have 4 different field experiences. Well, at least in the early childhood sector of things. We go through what are called blocks. So we get to go to different schools and get different field experiences, whereas traditionally schools usually just push you through classes and then in your last term you go to student teaching. And I think, yes, my student teaching experience was amazing. And that was obviously the most, I would say, fulfilling experience because I was more hands-on in that experience. But those prior field experiences made my student teaching experience so much more rewarding because I had done things or learned things or just observed different things that if I hadn't known those prior to student teaching, I feel like I would have been a little bit more behind or just not as prepared. I feel like now that I'm graduated and going in to be a first year teacher, I'm just as prepared as a teacher that has a first year under their belt already. Like I feel like I could be classified as a second year teacher almost with the experience that I have, which is cool. Not a lot of people can say that. Not only with this program though, I think Kent does a good job of promoting organizations and, these clubs and things that I've been involved in. And I think being involved on campus has also helped me shape, being an educator in the leadership roles that I took on, like the Writing with Your Future I mentioned. Even though it's a different age group, you're still sharpening the same tools. You're still pulling out of the same toolbox. And my leadership role with KSEA, it's all about education, but building those relationships, collaborating is a huge thing in education, which is something that I had to do as a board member, but also as the president. Leadership in general, teachers are leaders. So these different roles that I was able to take on, I think only propelled me, as well as the amazing program that Kent has. I think that the extra things that I took on just made me even more of a great teaching candidate.
Yeah, fantastic. Loved every word of that response. And something also that you mentioned that is really important for anyone watching this. Dr. Scott Allen touched on this in his interview, getting in the reps. So essentially, any opportunity that you can take on to help you develop a skill, whether it's public speaking, trying to develop into a leader, getting the reps in while you're in college, for lack of better wording, more of a controlled environment where you're around peers, generally speaking, at a similar level to you. So you may not feel as intimidated.
Mm-hmm.
I loved all of that, Aliyah. So thank you. Now, switching gears, what advice would you give to any student afraid to take on leadership roles while still enjoying their collegiate experience?
I know this is corny, but it's just like jumping into a pool, like off of a diving board. At least for me, it was. I mentioned earlier, I grew up as a very shy, more timid person. I hate public speaking, just a ball of nerves all the time. And I think I also love a good challenge, though. I do. And when opportunities are presented, I think it's important that you take them. It's terrifying at first, it might be, but I have not regretted any opportunity that I took at Kent. And I think it has only, again, sharpened those tools in my toolbox. I think it has only gotten me more connections. I think it's only helped me with my public speaking. I think it's helped me break out of that shy and timid shell that I was in before. And those things make me a better teaching candidate. So I say for anyone that wants to take on a leadership role, do it. I also believe you're never stuck anywhere. So if it does get to a point where you're like, I can't do this or this is not for me, absolutely you can exit. But I think it's worth a try. And I think imposter syndrome, something we all struggle with. I think it's hard to get over. But just knowing that you're doing this for yourself and that sometimes things are scary for a reason. It's a challenge should be scary. So take the challenge is my advice. Absolutely.
Now, thank you. I will say that Aliyah and I worked together on some programming initiatives, and while it is bittersweet that we aren't able to work together anymore, it has been an honor and amazing to watch her grow and flourish. And I will agree, Aliyah has taken on so many challenges, so eager to the point where I have to tell her, slow down. You're amazing and you can do everything, but you don't have to do everything. But that just
hard. It's hard once you get going. You just want to do more. That's another thing. It's like you just have to take that first leap because once you get going, the ball starts rolling. It's like you want to start doing more as much as you can. Because another thing is I pull from different leadership experiences and they sort of blend together. But like I'll pull things that I learned from Writing for Your Future and I'll absolutely use it in my role in KSCA. You know, you'll find things fit from different places. So just take that leap because again, once you get going, you're never going to want to stop is what I've learned.
I love the mindset because I'm a huge proponent of utilizing those training reps, but also what can you take from one experience and use in another experience, right? There's usually something, even if it was not a great experience, maybe as Aliyah stated, you wanted to exit or you had to exit, but is there something you can apply in the next role, something that maybe you wouldn't do, for example? And so thank you so much for that, Aliyah. Now, I want you to tell me your thoughts after hearing this sentence. It feels a lot less scary to pursue a career in teacher education after watching this interview with Aliyah.
That would be, if someone said that, I would be like, yay! I promise it's not as scary as people make it out to be. Obviously, it's a lot of hard work, but as is anything. And it is really the most rewarding field you can go into, especially if you like meeting people, helping people, working with people. That is the entirety of the job. I know there's more like specifics and politics that we don't need to get into, but at the heart of it, it really is just people loving people and what you do for people. So don't be intimidated by it. I would say if you want to be a teacher, absolutely don't ignore all the noise. If you want it and you have a passion for it, go for it. Because I've enjoyed my years leading up to it. And I'm so excited and ready for my first year. I'm ready to go.
Thank you so much. And I will guarantee that someone will be inspired by this interview and look at Aliyah as the hero that they needed to connect with. And so I will put Aliyah's LinkedIn contact information. Reach out if you have questions. If you would like to know about Ohio's Ivy League institution, the Kent State University, you can also reach out. With that being said, this interview has been insightful, incredible in so many different ways. And I can't thank Aliyah enough for giving me a few minutes of her time. Aliyah, what takeaways from this interview should viewers leave with?
After this interview, I would say if there's one thing that you take away, it's that don't be afraid to take the first leap. If not you, then who is going to do it? There's no wrong choice. If you enter something and you decide it's not for you, you still learn something from it. And it's important to build those relationships. And if you love doing that, then teaching is absolutely the profession for you, and you shouldn't shy away from it.
Thank you so much for that, Aliyah. It has been an honor. This has been the podcast episode that really gets to highlight and give praise again to teachers who I consider the backbone of this country. With that being said, I'm Dr. Lett on I'm Dr. Lett, the podcast. Aliyah, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.